It's the beginning of September, and a lot of us are planting our fall and winter veggies now. I'm going to wait another month before I plant those. Right now, at the beginning of September, I'm going to dedicate 3 or 4 beds to the spring vegetables again. I am running the risk that they could be hit with frost or freeze, but usually that doesn't happen until January, I'm hoping. I have seen frost as early as mid-October, so it's not a guarantee, but I'm willing to take the risk. So I'm planting tomatoes and I'm planting squash, a few cucumbers. What else am I planting? Green beans. Green beans and also cranberry beans. The cranberry beans are most likely going to make it because they get mature really, really quick. Probably in about 8 weeks, I'll be harvesting those. And I doubt we'll have frost by then.
All I have needs, I have not provided.
So the vegetables that I'm going to wait until October to plant, that's all my root crops. Carrots, turnips, rutabaga, parsnips, beets. I think that's it on those. Oh, and broccoli, a couple of different kinds of broccoli. Can't think of any more right off the top of my head. And that is why I keep a chart. Now, we all have gardens that are uniquely ours. Mine may not look like yours. So that is why keeping record year after year after year is really, really important. I will transfer the information I have on here to a Google Doc that I've created. It's now 11 years old and has almost 70 pages to it in 12-point type. So it's a lot of notes, and I value it very much. So besides the peanuts, I also grow some peas that I don't intend on eating, but it's a very valuable thing that I grow. So these are a type of speckled pea. They're wild as far as I know. I really don't know. I gathered some peas at a park. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I did it. It was at a time that the garden was being neglected. And so I just took maybe a dozen seeds and I grew them last year. And then I saved the seeds from those to plant this year. And I did discover that they're not very tasty. And at this time of year, no matter how diligent I am, the stink bugs get to them and let me show you. See all those dots? Nice little line of dots. No matter how diligent I've been to come out here and kill stink bugs, there's just no way you can keep them all off. But if a pea or a bean gets stung by a stink bug, it's still good for seeds. So I don't really want to eat the peas. I value the vines more than I value the peas, although I will save these so I can plant it again next year, and maybe I'll plant even more next year. So the reason why I want the vines, pea vines enhance your soil a lot. It's a lot of farmers will grow peas over the summer and till them in for something that they want to plant afterwards. So I don't till my soil. What I do is I dig a trench and I bury the vines underneath and then pull the soil back over it. And then I plant whatever I want to plant over the top of that. So do you remember I'm planting tomatoes now, the beginning of September? Well, I'm planting them in pots. And I'm going to plant too many for the pot. And then I'm going to thin them out to just maybe 2 plants per pot. And then I'm going to transplant the remaining out here in the garden. That way I've got myself covered. If we get frost, the ones in the pots can be brought indoors. And our frosts and freeze, they never last throughout the whole day. They just last until maybe 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you can bring your plants back out. Those tomatoes that you plant now, they're going to take a lot longer to produce, a lot longer to get ripe. but you may have tomatoes through the winter. Maybe they'll be ripe by December or January or maybe February at the time that you're starting new plants for next year. So I'm going to plant the tomatoes over the top of one of those mounds that I've made with the pea vines deteriorating and decomposing underneath. And I'm going to have another bed, possibly 2 more beds, we'll see, where I'm going to plant squash over the top of those beds that have the vines buried underneath and dirt pulled over the top. I found out last year that the squash and cucumbers absolutely love that setup. So it's worth growing peas, even if you don't want to eat the peas. These are Asian long beans. So these vines, I'm just going to leave them here, and I'm going to plant my bush Blue Lake green beans on either side. And if I think that they're interfering with the growth or the health of my green beans, my bush Blue Lake beans, I'll just cut them off at the bottom, and I'll easily be able to just pull up the whole thing and let the 2 rows, one on either side of this, go ahead and grow to maturity. Now, if I plant bush Blue Lake green beans now, they'll be ready by Thanksgiving. And yes, there is a slight chance there could be frost, but I'm willing to take that chance. So here's where the bush Blue Lake green beans are going. Cranberry beans are a dry bean. You don't grow them for their green beans. Their pods are just very fibrous. But the cranberry bean inside is great. And those should be mature. If I plant them now, they'll be ready by mid-November, possibly the 1st of December. So let me show you where I'm going to plant those. These are peanuts that I sowed pretty late, and they're not very big. They probably will not be ready until December at the earliest, maybe the end of December. And who knows, maybe they'll get frostbitten. I don't know, but I'm going to plant the cranberry beans on right down the middle of both of them. Cranberry beans do not get very tall, so they're not going to shade the peanuts. Peanuts do not like shade. They want full sun. So the cranberry beans will do just fine, and the peanuts will do just fine together. I've never done it before, but I do know the characteristics and the traits of both of those. Peanuts don't like shade. Cranberry beans don't take the same nutrients from the soil as the peanuts do. So by the time the cranberry beans are done, they should mature at about the same time because cranberry beans go fast. One winter crop that I want to start now, even though I don't have the space in the garden, is broccoli. So I'm going to start those in pots, and then I will transplant them sometime in October. That way they can get a start now. If you plant broccoli right now at the beginning of September, they should be ready sometime in January, and they'll continue to produce side shoots all the way up until you're ready to pull them up and plant your spring garden. These are sweet potato vines. I'll be pulling them up. They're not mature enough to have sweet potatoes under them, but I don't need this little patch. This is where I grew my original slips, and then I transplanted the slips over into another area of the garden. And so I really don't need this. But they are very, very valuable. These vines, I'm going to stuff into a 5-gallon bucket, and then I'm going to fill that bucket with water, and it will become the best fertilizer for the corn next spring. It's just amazing, and I can't explain it. I know there's been a dispute whether, I call it weed water, it really does have the nutrients for your vegetable garden. I don't have the scientific reasons why, but I just know it works. The weed water made from sweet potato vines, the corn does really, really well with it. So these 2 beds are going to be bok choy and lettuce. I have 3 beds of peanuts right here. That one, this one, and right behind me. I have 4 more beds of peanuts besides the ones I just showed you in another area of this garden. These peanuts and those over there, the 4, are almost ready. They need maybe 2 or 3 more weeks, and then I can harvest them. Once I harvest them, then I will bury the plants back under the beds. If not here, then somewhere else in the garden. They are just absolutely great for your soil. So as you're coming through my garden this way, I have the 2 beds of sweet potato vines that I just showed you, and then I have 3 beds of peanuts. I will harvest these probably no later than October the 1st. This is jumbo peanuts in this one, and they are almost ready. So I'm going to give them another week, and then I'll harvest them, and the squash will go right over the top of where I plant these, the plants. I'll harvest the peanuts, and then I'll put the plants back in the soil, just like I described with the pea vines. So I'll make a trench. I'll put the plants themselves, not the peanuts, but the plants themselves down underneath, pull up the soil, and then I'll plant the squash and tomatoes. Well, just squash. Squash and cucumbers go here. The tomatoes are going to go somewhere else because I'm starting the tomatoes in pots. That's why I need my chart. Yeah, he should be okay. My growing zone is zone 10A, and I know that stretches right across the southern portion of the United States. And actually, some of those climates don't even match mine, but they're still called zone 10A. So yeah, go by your zones, but also know your environment. I live in a subtropical area, Central Florida. See my bananas? First time. I'm so happy about it. I hope I've inspired you to grow your vegetables all the way through the winter if you are that far south. And maybe if you're not this far south, I hope you've enjoyed the video anyway and given you some ideas that your vegetable garden is uniquely yours. Make a chart, grow the things that are good for you and your family, and just use everybody else's information as a guideline for you. Thanks for watching.
Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.